Hang in there, it is! Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
For the first time in 2026, I'm delighted to utter the phrase, welcome back to The Smylie Show. I am Charlie Hulme, and I'm sitting here, of course, with Smylie Kaufman, who received some plaudits because he's done his prep. He's got a legal pad full of notes to prepare for this year, but he's battling a 3-month sleep regression. And that is a place that, as a dad, if you're a dad, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're sending out some T's and P's to Smylie right now. Smylie, talk to me about the sanity to exhaustion continuum in your mind right now. Where are we?
Well, when you're sitting there in the middle of the night, rocking your kid, trying to get him down into the crib, we're right now struggling with taking our child from our arms into the crib without him waking up or crying. And so that's kind of the issue right now. And all I've been thinking about lately is how can I develop something that can get my child's body and head off of my arm and not feeling like he's being thrown off of a 100-foot building where he feels like he's being thrown off and that sudden jerk of his eyes just pop straight open as soon as I'm putting him down. If we could develop something that takes away that sudden fear of falling and also the feeling that he's still in my arms in the crib, please reach out to me so that we can develop this so that I can go into wherever we want to go. We can buy a yacht and everybody in the world deals with this same problem. And we might still do the podcast, but most likely not, because this would be huge.
It'll be on an island, preferably a tax haven. And we will be drinking very fruity drinks and hanging out because we'll have $1 zillion. And you know what, Smylie, this actually connects to something we've discussed previously on the show, which is dad back. Because the mechanics of trying to softly lower your child into that crib, it requires a ton of core and lower back strength if you're going to try to do it in a soft and continuous manner. I feel what you're feeling. You and I had an extended off-air discussion about just hacks, just like random hacks of like, maybe try this, maybe try that. But the reality is that the skyscraper drop, as you've so eloquently put it, there's no good solve for that, seemingly.
The other one too that puts your body and your back in a terrible position. You made a great point on the baby down in the crib, but the one that really hits home right now is you forget how heavy a doona is. If anybody has had a doona, when you take that thing from your body into the car, so you're holding something that's 30, 40 pounds away from your body up in the air. Now, I'm sure there's some hardos that are like, dude, it's not a big deal. Well, when you already have dad back and you enter the doona into the car situation and trying to keep your baby asleep potentially in this scenario, you got to be gentle. This is not something you can just go woof right into the car. I know many dads can relate to the doona and how inefficient but efficient that device is and how physically exhausting it could be to maneuver it.
It is. Let me tell you, and then I promise I'll stop elaborating on the topic of dad items. Although this is good, this is therapeutic for both of us. Today we did church, and then we did a lunch that was kind of teetering on nap time. And of course, driving home, both my 3-year-old and my 1-year-old fell asleep in the car.
Oh, transfer from the car.
So let me tell you, SK. I said, Amanda, you know what? You've been wanting to get a workout in. You go do your workout. I'm going to put both of them down. All right. She's like, you can do both? I'm like, just trust me here. Left the car running, left the music on at a nice little level so as not to disturb everyone. 3-year-old first, took him upstairs, pulled both shoes off in transit, laid him right down, not a peep, boom. Then went back for the 1-year-old, picked her up, took her shoes off, and then grabbed an extra pacifier because she had the little pacifier clip on. Put her down the crib, shoes off, and then did the like the Indiana Jones, he like switches the whatever the treasure is out for like the rock. Did like the super quick like pacifier switch so she wouldn't have the clip on and put it in. and she stayed asleep. I came downstairs. It was like Rocky, like running up the steps at the end of his run. I was like, it's the greatest thing. One of the greatest. She's like, did you just really just get both of them down? Hey,
I would
go
have
enjoy
been,
your workout, babe.
I would have been pimp stepping down the stairs. like, what's up? I've been doing that lately when I leave the room. I'll just start kind of hitting the gritty to Fran, and she's like, stop. I'm like, well, kind of did it pretty quick there.
I do like the LeBron, like the push down. Just like, you know, like I'm him. I'm him. We are here to preview the 2026 season in professional golf. We got a lot of different topics we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about all 4 majors and preview those, look at some odds boards for those. We got a couple different specific topics, predictions we want to make. But here is the place that we want to start, because I think most of the scribbles you'll see on Smylie's yellow pad are stats in relation to this topic. And I went on DraftKings Sportsbook. I was looking for interesting sort of props or specials. And the one that kind of popped to me was highlighting what I think our current big 3 is in the game of golf: Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Tommy Fleetwood. The over-under that's been set for Scottie Scheffler's PGA Tour wins in 2026 is 5.5. And 6 wins or more is -125. 5 wins or less is +100. So effectively, the odds makers are thinking it is more likely he wins 6 or more. Rory, on the other side of the coin, his over-under is 2.5, and 3 wins or more is +130. 2 wins or less is -170. So odds makers think he's going to fall on the short side of 3 wins. And then Tommy Fleetwood, his over-under is at 1.5. 2 wins or more +120, and 1 win or less -155. So even after winning for the first time on the PGA Tour, the Tour Championship, odds makers still thinking he only wins one Tour event in 2026. So from there, Smylie, you know, thoughts on that, and just talk to us about some of the research you've done on all 3 of these players heading into this next year.
Following Scottie Scheffler, just his dominance is going to be the conversation that we'll probably have week in and week out, just to see if he can continue on this path of greatness that he is on right now. And I wanted to bring this up as well. Right before we kind of got this podcast started, I remember seeing you in Hilton Head. This is back in, I believe, 2022. Is that about right?
No, right, it would have been 23, because this was like months before, right? We started, our first episode was around the PGA in 23. And so that would have been, you know, that would have been,
I was thinking it was
after John Rahm.
So John Rahm had won the Masters?
John Rahm had won the Masters.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, what I was going to tell you, thinking that we had started the podcast in 2022, but it was 23, was that Scottie had just had his second win the week before at the Masters. And I was just sitting here thinking, gosh, his second win it feels like that was so long ago. And where we are right now with how many wins that he's had in his career, it's just insane the trajectory this guy's on. You know,
people forget that in 2023, you were hula hooping in the parking lot at T-Bones at the Masters. Right. That I think is a historical note that needs to be added in there. So anyway, I digress.
Well, I mean, 4 wins in 22, 3 wins in 23, 9 wins in 24, 6 wins in 25. So the odds makers are basically saying, and looking at how many events Scottie plays, he's kind of gotten it to right around 20 events is what he's played the last couple of years. So they basically think that he's going to win more than a quarter of his events. Doing the math there, that is stupid, man. Like just doing some simple math there. That's ridiculous.
It's nuts. And I think it's, I mean, remember we were sitting here last year and you almost laughed me off the podcast for predicting that he'd win, you know, 9 over. I think I took over on 9.5. I had him for 10 wins, which obviously he fell short of. But I think at the time that was prior to the news breaking about the whole lasagna incident that kind of set him back to start the season. And I wonder how the season shakes out differently without, you know, so much has been made of the care which he takes with his prep in the offseason and the things he works on with Randy Smith and just, you know, especially kind of the what he was moving into with his progression, the putting we saw, and that you really can look back and wonder how much more he wins in that first quarter of the season. Does he not have that sort of setback, which is crazy to say for a guy that won 2 majors and 6 times in 2025. But that's why I think looking to the 2026 year with a full year, I mean, sky's the limit.
like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? No, but so the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe if the Raiders draft Mendoza, they don't want to rush him into it. Maybe the Colts want Rodgers to be the stopgap in between Daniel Jones coming back. Maybe the Cardinals need to figure something out. Maybe the Browns, if they don't draft. None of that to me feels a 0% chance. I just think it's interesting.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season. But let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
What he's done over the last 3 seasons, when you just go look at the stats, it's stupid. Absolutely stupid. He's led an approach 3 straight seasons. Okay. So, I mean, that's stupid. Off of the tee, he's finished first, second, and second the last 3 years. So he's almost the best every single year off the tee. He's been the best iron player. And I think the scrambling is something that is vastly overlooked with Scottie Scheffler. 100%. I thought this was super interesting because this past year in scrambling, he was 3rd. 2024, he was 5th. And the year prior to that, he was 10th. So 3 years in a row, scrambling, he's in the top 10. So you're talking about a guy who drives it just as good as anybody, is the best iron player in the world, gets up and down when he has to. And that leads to the next point, which is the putting, which is something that we talked about pretty much right when we got going with this podcast. Is this guy was really struggling with this putting. He was losing to the field week in and week out with this putting. And we just said, if he could just be average, he's going to win more often than not. And looking at the data from what we've seen, 162nd in putting in 2023. He made an improvement in 2024 where he got to 77th. That's the average. We're like, okay, now he's an average putter. And how many times did he win that year? He won 9 times in 2024. And so in 2025, he gets his 22nd in strokes gained putting. So he's improved year after year now with the putting to where he has no weaknesses in his game. And I think the one thing that you think about with Scottie, he has tons of looks as well. And so a player that has a bunch of looks, it's small percentage points we're talking about that he can pick up off of the field when he has 10 to 15 feet putts. So that little window where he's hitting a lot of shots to 10 to 15 feet. Last year, he was 11th in that category in putting. So he's making a couple more of those putts now in this past season. So this guy's built in a perfect lab with how good this putting is. He is not 3-putted in 504 holes, by the way. So
I remember sitting here probably the same time last year reviewing the 2020, 4 season it would have been, where Xander wins 2 majors. And we were talking about tools, like making a sort of baseball tool comparison to, professional golfers, right? And saying that, Scotty was a sort of an amazing 4-tool player, but a 4-tool player nonetheless, whereas Xander was a more complete 5-tool sort of player because, is an exceptional putter. And just even looking at that time, the underratedness of Scotty's ability to scramble and the sort of short game around the green, where we're saying this guy's the best iron player in the world, a Tiger-esque iron player, and then when he does miss greens, he can scramble and give himself a chance to make putts. But it was just that, the sort of, I think you put it best on the show at one point where you said, if Scotty has a really poor putting week, it's a top 10. If Scotty has a maybe below average to average putting week, he's in the mix, maybe in a playoff. If Scotty has an above average putting week, he wins going away. Now we're talking about a guy that is, I think you said, was 30th strokes gained putting this year and only getting 22nd and only getting better. That's a true 5-tool player at this point. So to me, it's really, and it's so funny because it's like, I don't know what you do if you're another tour pro and you're trying to find ways to kind of, game the game, or like, how am I going to prepare to beat the best player in the world? I just don't know what you try to work on or maximize efficiencies other than just like really trying to pick off specific wins, specific setups where you can maybe game plan for a course setup that doesn't really suit Scotty. Because there's just, if he's going to play at this level and be as good in all of these major categories as he is, every time he tees it up, he could win, and he just might this year.
Dude, he might, which is why that over 5.5. I'm there. I'm over.
Hammer the over. Hammer the over.
Well, when we look at his season in that 5.5 wins, I think the huge key for him is driving accuracy. I think players often refer to, well, you guys talk about his ball striking all the time, but what you very rarely allude to is how accurate he is with his driver off of the tee. And I think looking at some of those percentages, just looking at some of these big years that he's had, in 2024, he hit 67% of his fairways. And in 2025, he had 63%. And so when you look at kind of where that benchmark is, I always look at with guys that are long, if they're above 60%, most of the time that's a good formula. If they get above 65% or 65 or more, that always feels like it's going to be a big year for that type of player. As long as, they're not terrible around the greens or with the putter or with the irons. But Scotty's great at all those things. So when Scotty is able to keep it at 65 or more, he's going to win more than 5.5 times.
That's interesting. That's a good metric to pay attention to throughout the season, right? Of like just even what you're noting there of like that dip beneath 65, just so let's
even 60 is fine. But if he has a year where it dips below 60, that's a year that, hey, he might only win a couple times. I think he is poised to have just a monster year, an absolute monster year.
This is the part of the show where, I'm the sicko gear nerd that's always trying to kind of put something new in the bag. And I think that was for TaylorMade staffers last year. Let's just call it what it is. It's like Scotty won 2 of his majors and Rory won his 1 major playing a year-old TaylorMade driver. It was that QI10 that they kept in the bag. No one really
was that the 24 head?
That was a 24 head, the QI10.
He hit 67% of his fairways.
no one really wanted to play that 35 head. And in fact, the 1 week where TaylorMade finally got Rory into that head and
he lost like 2.5 strokes off the tee.
Drive. But then, and I think that's a really interesting thing, no matter what the manufacturer is, to like the uptake on putting new technology in the bag. Like obviously all these OEMs are going to try to get the stuff in the bag as soon as they can because they're trying to go sell it. But the rapid rate at which that QI40 found its way into TaylorMade Staffer's bag is something to pay attention to for all those guys. So it's your point there, what you've seen already, the eye test, like an already elite driver potentially gets better. Like that's trouble for everyone else.
Yeah. And I guess the only other thing to kind of talk about with Scotty Scheffler, and actually a couple things. One, first off, he has made, I think, 63 straight cuts. I think Xander's got the record going right now, but he's made 63 straight. And I was going to ask you, does Scotty miss a cut this season?
I don't think so. I really don't. I don't, it's funny because as we're kind of gonna,
That'd be a fun bet to make, though.
I
To
think
be
that was
on
one
the
of ones
side
I
where he
saw.
misses the cut.
I think it's listed on DraftKings. I'll have to look it up during one of the.
Does he even know people go home on Friday at this point?
It's like,
let's play a little buy or sell. I think it's pretty evident that despite being one of the best tight ends in the history of the NFL, Travis Kelce's play and physicality and everything, with all due respect, took a big step back. This was easily his worst physical season of all. He just didn't look like himself. Travis Kelce will retire after the season. Buy or sell?
Yeah, I'm probably 60-40 on this that he retires. The only thing I'd say that maybe he returns is because he doesn't want to end the way it ended, not making the playoffs and that sort of thing. But let's just say for Gales and Mahomes, he isn't going to be ready for September or October. Unless they get a really good veteran quarterback, maybe he doesn't want to deal with that either. Go through a training camp and he may not make the playoffs either next year. So I'm probably 60-40. I think he's done. Too bad. Hall of Fame career. I guess good luck with Travis Swift and your podcast with Jason.
I'm buying this. Andy Reid addressing this question this week. Why? He could have just deferred and said, I don't know, we'll see. Fully answered the question about this hit maybe being his last game. What does that tell you? He knows. Everybody knows. I'm not 60-40, 90-10. I'm on buy. Bo Nix versus Caleb Williams. You'd rather have Nix over Caleb Williams in a dynasty league.
That's a tough one. I think I'm going to go Caleb here, mainly because he has more running ability than Nix. I think he'll also stay healthier than Nix. I might like his receivers more as well. He's got Dunze, he's got you got DJ Moore, you got the good tight ends here. Probably do lean towards Williams here. Not by a hell of a lot. It wouldn't be an easiest choice here, but I'm going to go with Caleb Williams here.
I would agree. It's not that I think that Ben Johnson is a better coach than Sean Payton. I think Ben Johnson is better for Caleb Williams than Sean Payton will be for Bo Nix. I think running is going to be a big part of what Denver does in the future. So there you go. I'll sell.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
But I actually think Rory has room for improvement in 2025. This wasn't a maxed out Rory McIlroy. I think when you look at completing the Grand Slam and having a good start to the season, you think, wow, Rory McIlroy, like he's going to have a down year after playing so well the year prior. I actually think he can improve on this past season. I thought he drove it better in 24. Now 25, he kind of got in the middle of the season, driving it a little funky. Iron game got a little off, which at times he tends to get a little bit. It always appears that he gets underneath it and it's kind of fighting either an overturn with his irons. But really the range just that I looked at from his iron game that I thought could use a bit of improvement. The range in which he hits the most shots in that 25-yard gap. The PGA Tour always kind of splits it up with like 100 on 125, 125, 150. The most shots that he had hit versus any other was 150 to 175. And he was 143rd in that category. So that's an area in which, you're hitting a lot of 9, 8, 7s, and 143rd is definitely well below tour average in an area in which he can improve. And he obviously plays from that spot often, whether it's par threes or probably for him par fives in his second shot. But I mean, his driver sets up his entire game, Charlie. We all, everybody knows it, but when you really dive into the data, as long as he is at the top of the driving distance stat, he's going to remain competitive because of how good of a driver of the golf ball he is. Now, these are all nitpicky things I'm kind of mentioning. Like I'm finding like certain parts of his game that he can go work on, but really it's his driver that's unbelievable. His putter is incredible, 9th in strokes gained putting this past season. And then really around the green, like we talk about with Scotty, Roy's really good around the green. Scrambling statistics I thought was interesting. And he was 15th in 2025 and 17th in 2024. And it's kind of a trend in what you see with all these top players is that none of these guys are weak around the green. all of them are really good getting it up and down. And when you think about it, that's golf, right? It's like if you're pretty good hitting it tee to green, and then also you get everything up and down and you eliminate mistakes, it's probably how they ended up being the best players in the world, right?
And it's so interesting to combine a few of the topics of discussion around Rory that you just mentioned, to look back at just the story of this past year extended, really even going back 2 years. Because I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, where the big talking point was poor wedge play, like approach wedge play, like in maybe like 125 and in, and
but it was good to start this year. Remember, that was the big, yeah.
Well, because I think I'm remembering this
Switch
correctly
balls,
too. It's
right?
like and this is not. It was he switched balls to kind of change the sort of flight and spin profile, but it was also, I promise this is not like a TaylorMade equipment sponsored episode, but it was he switched from the TaylorMade MG wedges into Vokeys because he didn't like whichever one of the models was on just like where the center of gravity was and the way it was flying. So I think it was a combination of, having input on design for the wedges and then changing the ball to kind of fly a different way and spin a different way. And then if you remember this last season, he had I think it was like a month of time where he didn't hit any shots on a golf course. He was just in a lab, just refining one specific sort of move and change he wanted to make in the swing. Then of course he comes into this year, he wins at Pebble, AT&T Pro-Am, and he wins the Players in that playoff against J.J. Spawn. And then, of course, completes a career Grand Slam at the Masters. And then coming out of that, there was the failed driver test that got leaked under somewhat dubious circumstances at Quail Hollow. So then he had this feud with the media at the PGA that extended into just some frustration at Oakmont. And it was really, we didn't really see a fully happy Rory again until he shows up at Portrush. He's in front of a home crowd, and you beautifully painted the scene there on the ground, just the roars for Rory that week. And that it felt like at that point he got back to Europe, he got back home, and it was able to kind of release some of whatever it was that was the frustration of the past couple months, that maybe we thought we were going to see a freer Rory McIlroy on the back end of completing his career Grand Slam. So it was a really unique sort of journey that he's been through. But even just in the past couple weeks of just or months of just like the joy that you saw on his face at the Golf Channel games. I know we're talking about the Golf Channel games, but it's like I think we are going to see a Rory that feels less burdened coming in this next year, and then kind of,
which could be scary, right?
Could be very scary. I mean, as we get into these predictions, I'll kind of tease one that I think is going to happen. Is like, you're about to talk about Tommy Fleetwood. I think we're going to see a lot of wins for the top elite level at the tour. And then I think the really good to good group, I do not think is going to win a lot this year on tour, because I think there's a lot of young talent coming up in a lot of different places that are kind of primed for breakout seasons. I think it's going to be a really interesting profile of winners on tour this season, given and Steve Sands even said this on the show, a couple weeks ago, just like Scotty Rory eating up a bunch of wins, and then where the other one's going to come from. And I think that's going to be a really interesting storyline this season.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. only on SportsGrid.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry. The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
And I think with Rory at 2.5, looking at potentially playing 16 times on the PGA Tour, and last year, remember, he skipped Memphis, the first playoff event, and you imagine he'll be in a similar situation where he doesn't need to play Memphis, so you might not even see him again there this year. So I would probably lean over just because of the driver and the putter. I think it's too good. He's too good around the greens. His distance is just still unbelievable, and such a strength for him. If the iron game could just tidy up a little bit, he'll definitely win more than 2.5 times.
I'm always going to hammer the over, so I will join you in that regard. But I will say, though, it's a really good point there. It's like you look at a 2.5 over under for a guy like Rory McIlroy, and you're like, this has to be a misprint. But it really boils down to the number of starts he's making on tour. And then also
and probably people just expecting a down year, coming off of a year. It's like, where's he going to be emotionally? I always feel that Rory's always into every shot, every round. Every time I've ever watched him, he's a super competitive guy. Every time he tees it up, he takes a lot of pride in his score and how he plays that week. So to me, until he loses that, I think you have to expect that he can play at that full capability that he wants to win every time he tees it up.
So then to wrap this section before we head to majors with your thoughts on Tommy Fleetwood, as mentioned, 1.5 is the over-under on wins. I mean, we see a guy finally break through with that win of the Tour Championship. Like, it could not have been scripted better over the course of that season. And then he goes and wins on the DP World Tour with Frankie there in attendance. Like, this is another guy that to me feels like burden lifted. Like, now we're freed up. Let's go win some golf tournaments.
Well, I was kind of looking at the stats to try to piece together, okay, how did Tommy get it done this season? Because I think it's interesting to look at his past years on the PGA Tour and say, all right, well, why this season? You know, what was this thing that got it done for him? It was his iron play. He was 6th in approach this season in 2025. In 2024, he was 92nd in that category. So when you think of Tommy Fleetwood, you just think of a flusher of the golf ball, right? It feels like he never misses the center of the face. But really, when I went back and looked at his approach numbers over the last 6 or 7 years, I think one year maybe he was like 23rd or 24th. But a lot of other years, he was in the 90s, he was in the 60s. There hasn't been a whole lot of consistency when we talk about his iron game. I just think of it such of a high level that I always assumed it was elite every single year. But it's been this season specifically, which is why he's been able to have the success that he's had. The tee to green stat, based on what I can tell, how it's divided, they take your off the tee numbers, they take your approach, and they take your around the green statistics. That's how they determine your tee to green. Tommy Fleetwood, being 123rd in driving distance, was 3rd in that category. So when you see that, you're like, tee to green, Tommy Fleetwood 3rd. It's like, all right, that means he must have just really hit it good. It's like, well, no, he was really good around the greens too. He was fantastic there. So when you think about Tommy on how he can continue to stay an elite player in the game of golf, it's going to have to be with his iron play, because he already has the tools with his putter. Putter has been consistent pretty much every year he's been on tour, except for maybe one. It was a little leaky. But around the greens, he's really good. He's an accurate driver of the golf ball. This has to be the thing that takes him year after year after year to keep him in that top echelon of talent is his elite iron play.
So I am so hot on Tommy Fleetwood this next year, specifically in the majors. Might be formulated in one of my predictions here, but I just, as we transition, I'm just thinking, man, this could be the burden's off his back. He played great in the Ryder Cup. This could be a huge year for Tommy Fleetwood.
Yes, it very well could be a huge year, but I also I'm buying the dip. I'm buying the dip.
Now, boo.
I know. I'm talking about wins. I think he's going to be the ultra consistent Tommy Fleetwood. I don't think he's going to get in the winner's circle a whole lot this season. That's just my opinion.
Are you under 1.5?
I'm going under 1.5.
Okay.
And that's mainly just because when I looked at all of his data, I'm like, man, I thought the iron game was going to be a little bit more consistent over a long period of time. And with that, I'm like, am I going to bet on that being the reason why he wins more than 2 times? Like, I mean, yeah, like that's a pretty easy assumption to make that he probably can do that. But also am willing to bet too that he's probably not going to play as much too on the PGA Tour. When we talk about the amount of starts, somewhere probably in that 16 to 18 range, a lot of signature events. And again, you're going up against the best players in the world week in and week out. And I know he's really good, but he'll be in contention. It's just a matter of, can he get the job done with a lot of really other good players right around the deal, and taking down whether it be a Scotty or whoever it is. Not to say that he can't do it. I just wonder, is he going to have enough pop on the bat, enough of a superpower to take him over week after week after week to win? And that for that reason, buying the dip.
I'm hammering the over because that's what I do. Hammer the over.
We can't just continue. Somebody had to take an under, man.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was like, which one of these should I take under? I'm like, who are we kidding? I'm hammering the over all across the board. Okay, so let's move now into an analysis of each of these majors individually and make some predictions for winners as we do. We'll start with, and I have like course it's always funny. You start with like the course preview for each of these, and it's like, what do I need to tell you about Augusta National Golf Club that you do not already know? So if you've been living like underneath a rock, or this is the first golf podcast or show you've ever listened to or watched, Augusta National Golf Club is where we begin, April 9th through 12th for the Masters Tournament in Augusta, Georgia, designed by Bobby Jones and the Dr. Alistair McKenzie. It opened in 1932. The first Masters was played in 1934. It is a par 72. I believe it most recently played at 75, a little more than 7,500 yards for the Masters Tournament. The course record is 63. And I'm going to run through Smylie. There are 20 players on DraftKings Sportsbook that are currently listed at 50 to 1 or shorter. Start at the top. Scotty 3 to 1, Rory 5 to 1, Xander 11 to 1, Bryson 12 to 1, Jon Rahm is 14 to 1, Tommy Fleetwood 16 to 1, Ludwig Oberg 18 to 1, Colin Morikawa 18 to 1, Justin Thomas 25 to 1, Jordan Spieth 35 to 1, Joaquin Niemann 35 to 1, Hideki Matsuyama 35 to 1, Victor Hovland 35 to 1, Tyrrell Hatton 35 to 1, Shane Lowry 40 to 1, Patrick Cantlay 40 to 1, Matt Fitzpatrick 40 to 1, Cameron Young 40 to 1, Russell Henley 50 to 1, and Brooks Koepka 50 to 1.
Wow.
So those are your 20 guys that the odds makers at this point believe have the best chance to win the 2026 Masters. Who do you like?
Scotty.
That's good. Who else? A guy that's
I do really like Scotty at the Masters.
What a shocker.
I mean, just it's a golf course that these guys play every single year. It doesn't change. And Scotty at this point has first off a caddy that's won with Bubba Watson multiple times and on his bag multiple times at this golf course. He has all the tools that you need around this place. He has all the history, and I don't see why you would ever take anybody else. I know Rory would be an interesting bet again, coming off of winning the Augusta National last year. I just still think the iron play for Scotty is going to be the reason why he gets it done. And then just the consistency with the putter. I mean, it's not hard to sell you this, I'm sure.
It's not a point we necessarily need to belabor. I mean, if you look at that list, the second guy on the list is a Masters champion, the defending Masters champion, Rory McIlroy. Xander always plays good at Augusta. Jon Rahm's a Masters champion. Ludwig Oberg and Colin Morikawa were in contention very recently, and the one that Scotty won in 24. But I just think that, especially when you kind of, backtrack to Scotty's slower than expected start to this last season because of the injury and kind of working his way, into the rest of the year. I think this year with a full offseason of prep, really kind of fine tuning, taking some things that he worked on and got better at throughout the year, specifically the putting, and having this offseason to fine tune them without a stop. I don't see how you pick anyone else than Scotty here. So we know it's chalky, but it's chalky for a reason. So I'm with you. I'm with you on Scotty.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry. The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Light League will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro Basketball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I know exactly what Patriot Nation is screaming this morning. It's Drake May time. Give him the trophy. MVP. Stop it, please. Just sit down. Yes, Drake May has had a nice season, but let's be real. He has played a JV schedule of defenses. He is carving up the easiest slate of defenses in the NFL this season. Congratulations on your beatdown of the Jets.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College Basketball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, so we'll head next to the PGA Championship, May 14th through 17th at Aronimink Golf Club in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. This one, close to my heart as a big Donald Ross guy, originally designed by Donald Ross, opened for play in 1928, most recently renovated in 2018 by Gil Hanse and Jim Wagner. This is a par 70, plays a little longer than 7,200 yards. And the course record, as we talked about before with Tommy, it's 62. It's held by 5. In addition to Tommy, Tiger and Rory also co-hold that course record. Now, I don't want to asterisk it, but those all came in that 2018 BMW Championship. It'll probably set up a little bit different for a major than it was for a regular tour event. There are currently 17 players on DraftKings Sportsbook listed at 50-1 or shorter. We'll start again at the top. Scotty Scheffler plus 350, Rory McIlroy plus 650. Then we go to Bryson at 10-1, John Rahm at 12-1, Xander at 14-1, Ludwig Oberg 18-1, Tommy at 20-1, JT at 20-1, Colin Morikawa 22-1, Victor Hovland 30-1, Tyrrell Hatton 35-1, Joaquin Niemann 35-1, Brooks Koepka 40-1, Jordan Spieth 40-1, Hideki Matsuyama 40-1, Patrick Cantlay 45-1, and Cam Young 50-1. So who
Jordan 40-1 to get the Grand Slam.
Jordan 40-1. I mean, this is low key. Like everyone's talking about Scotty getting the career slam done at Shinnecock. It'd be hilarious if Jordan just sniped him one major early, got it done at Aronimink.
I don't know a ton about this golf course. I don't remember watching the 2018 BMW Championship, and just doing a little bit of light research on the golf course. Data Golf said this is a golf course that really favors the Bombers. And just looking at some pictures as well, it really appears to me that the Bombers are going to have a really nice setup here, which is, pretty accurate for most major championships outside of some narrow places on the Open Championships. But I'm really kind of lost on where I want to go with this one. It could be anything, I think you could kind of group in, 10 to 12 guys and I'd be like, yeah, I like them this week. I think it's a bit of a guessing game. I think Scotty and Rory are makes sense that they're the two favorites. I could see Bryson playing really well at this golf course. Xander Schauffele to me could have a really good week here. Bobby Max, I think a player who I think has an opportunity to win a major championship this year. Maybe Bobby Mack. I don't know. This one's the one I don't know the best.
I don't know. It's not a pick. This is egregious here. We have, Jackson Brown is not featured. He's listening to all this. He's watching all this. But when this episode ends, Jackson Brown has to take all of these predictions and make a tidy graphic that we can put on social media. You're going to make me, I'm fine with it. Okay. Cause here's where I'm going to go here is, each of these, I'm trying to find a theme. I'm trying to kind of find a story that I want to tell myself and the good people watching and listening to the Smylie Show, why I believe in this player, right? And so I'm looking back at a recent major held at a Donald Ross course, perhaps the most famous Donald Ross course, Pinehurst number 2, guy that was in contention to the very end was Rory McIlroy. And I'm thinking about Rory and I'm saying, where is another Donald Ross course that just got a stunning facelift, currently in progress facelift by Gil Hanse and Jim Wagner, where Rory's dad, Jerry, plays quite a bit, Seminole Golf Club. Okay, he likes playing there. He plays well there, spends a lot of time playing there. I know it's a Northeast course and a little bit of a different turf grasses, but why not Rory at a Donald Ross course that's been restored by Gil? I like Rory.
I like him this week.
I'm trying to, of course it's not like I'm reaching down the leaderboard. He's the second shortest odds to win the tournament, but I'm making a Donald Ross, Gil Hanse, good vibes sort of play for Rory this week. And I think Rory wins here at Aronimi.
The PGA Championship was the one that I looked at last year when we were making these predictions where I'm like, well, Scotty can't win them all, right? So let's do the PGA Championship. It's the golf course that seems to be the easiest of all of the major championships. You got the Open that has all of the different winds and rain, all the things, elements you have to face. The Augusta we know everything about. And then the US Open typically favors into the players who have all the elite skills. You're like, all right, well, Scotty sounds great there. But the PGA Championship, for the most part, the venues feels like PGA Tour events. And this kind of feels like a big PGA Tour event, which is why I'm like, well, am I going to do the same thing that I forgot about last year that Scotty kind of dominated at Quail Hollow? So part of me wants to just go, wait, Scotty wins Augusta. Scotty wins the PGA.
Do it. Come on, do it.
I'm going to do it. Boom.
Scotty, I love it. God, Jackson's just over there, just setting this graphic up. Just
but if I really do like Xander this week, or that week. I think Xander is going to have a good bounce back year. And
you're not allowed to put Jackson's face or Xander's face on this graphic, Jax. Just know that he has to own Scotty. And I can't wait till we get to the end of July to talk about this again. Let's head next to the third major of the 2026 season, June 18th through 21st, the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills Golf Club in Southampton, New York. So it's an interesting one when you look at a lot of the other classic Northeastern golf courses. So William Flynn's considered the principal architect after a 1931 redesign, but this was actually an original C.B. McDonald and Seth Rayner layout, which, C.B. McDonald did, national, which is, right across the street. I mean, you could walk between Shinnecock and National up there. National Golf Leagues of America, I should say the full name there. Here's a fun little tidbit on that. By 1930, Shinnecock faced a highway extension, which later became Route 27 that would have bisected its course. The club acquired new land to the north and commissioned William Flynn to design a completely new 18-hole routing, which opened in 1931. He preserved a few ideas from the prior 1901 CB McDonald and Seth Rayner layout, but largely created a new routing that took full advantage of the rolling sandy terrain. Its most recent renovation was in 2013 by Bill Coore and Ben Crenshaw. It is a par 70 in the 2018 U.S. Open. It played 7,440 yards, and the course record, again, as we've already mentioned, 63, held by Tommy Fleetwood and Adam Scott. U.S. Open at Shinny. I mean, this is pretty classic in terms of what you're going to get from a U.S. Open test. It's going to be tough. The fescue's going to be up. Who you got to win this major, Smylie?
Well, the three guys that I have written down, I have Scotty Scheffler, 4 top 7s in the U.S. Opens. I have Rory basically counting down from 9 all the way to 2nd over the last 6 or 7 years. And do you like that?
That's for the YouTube audience.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Nanji, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. But sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
So you're taking Rory Shinnecock. All right. So you got Scotty Rory to open. I like it. I think this is going to be a very interesting one because we'll kind of get into it maybe in a separate discussion about Scotty's chances to complete the career Grand Slam, why it could or couldn't happen. I think his record in that major sometimes unfairly gets, overblown or undersold, just like he's not a good U.S. Open player. And then you go look at his results, like, wait, it's not that he's not a good U.S. Open player. It's just that he's won everything else and he's been, amazing in all these. And maybe he hasn't found that success at the level he normally does in this major. I think that my pick here it's sort of a gut feel play. It is I have a guy who everyone's waiting to kind of break out in a major winning sense. He's already a star on tour. He's everyone, loves this guy's potential, but we're waiting for like a real elite sort of coming out party and winning some serious hardware. And his US Open record is short and it's not great. Missed the cut at Oakmont and finished tied for 12th at Pinehurst. Actually, he was kind of in the mix at Pinehurst and then made a big number on, I forget the whole, but just kind of took himself out of contention. But I think Ludwig Oberg, I just feel like for some reason he just turns on cyborg mode this week. He just hits a bunch of fairways. just really kind of lasers in and excels in a U.S. Open test. I just think it feels like it's crazy to say it about winning a major championship, but he's just due to win a major. I guess we should say these picks aren't final until they're final. So we're going to go to the Open Championship. But right now, if you want to lodge an edit for your PGA pick, feel free to.
I forgot that Cam Young's winning at the PGA Championship, so we're gonna circle that in. Cam Young, first major PGA Championship. It just
okay. So give us a brief on why you like Cam and Aronime.
I just think he's gonna have a good year coming off of last season. Finally has that breakthrough. I like his distance off the tee. I think that's such a incredible recipe to have. It's good at many of the events this year, like the Masters, PGA Championship. I think Cam Young's going to be in the thick of it. I think he's going to contend at Augusta. I don't think he's going to win, but lead you into the PGA Championship where he's been in that contention major. He knows what he feels like, and then he gets it done.
I love it. Okay, so our updated picks. Smylie has Scotty the Masters. I have Scotty the Masters. I love it. Smylie has Cam Young at the PGA. I have Rory at the PGA. And Smylie has Rory at the U.S. Open. And I have Ludwig at the U.S. Open, which brings us to the final major of the season, the Open Championship, July 16th through 19th at Royal Birkdale Golf Club in Southport, Merseyside, in England, Tommy Fleetwood's hometown, as mentioned. Who do you like to win the Open Championship in 26?
I am going to take Tyrrell Hatton, but Robert McIntyre, I want to take him, but I have such a bit now that I think every year I'm going to take Tyrrell Hatton at the Open Championship until he wins. And so give me him. I don't even know where Hatton's from. It's got to be somewhere around there, maybe. Got a little, maybe not Tommy Fleetwood vibe, but he's kind of got to be around there, right?
Yes. All right. I like it. So that rounds out a nice little major slate for you. I've been leading up to this pick this entire episode. It's just big nostalgia pick, big like good vibes pick. Like Tommy Fleetwood. Come on, man. Tommy winning
amazing.
Birkdale.
It would be amazing.
Because it's like, everything, all the heartbreak that he suffered throughout his career, like, and then he's had these big moments of crescendo that feel like he's such a good human being that we all universally seem to like. Like, why wouldn't Tommy win at Royal Birkdale? It would be so perfect. So that's my pick. Okay, so let's recap. So you have your major winners are in order chronologically: Scotty, Cam Young, Rory, Tyrrell Hatton. My major winners are. Did I get that right? Yeah, I did. Okay. My major winners are Scotty, Rory, Ludwig, Tommy Ladd. That's pretty good. It's a little chalky, but you kind of zagged with Cam Young, so I like it. I like it. Well, it has been great to kick off 2026 in this fashion, previewing the season. As Smylie mentioned, the next episode you'll hear with James Nitties, a favorite of ours, his third appearance on the show, breaking down that entire Korn Ferry Tour class. So look out for that. And golly, Smylie, we're about a week and a half away from the debut on the Golf Channel. So set the DVRs now. Wednesday, January 14th, 9 a.m. Eastern. We're going to see you there. So without further ado,
see you another time.
We'll let Dad back, man, get to bed. Thanks so much for watching or listening. We'll talk to you right back here very soon.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too. So.
LeBron James gets that news today. What is today?
Today's his birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry? The greatest birthday gift that LeBron James has ever gotten is the reality, the smack in the face that he's no longer an all-star.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Like Alabama, right? Is there a team that scores more than Alabama? No, right? But they're actually an under team over the last couple of years because their numbers are so high. You get these Americans in Queens College or Denver. Who the hell's betting on them, right? Nobody. So the lines stay low. They're just like, no one's hopping all over them. But every time you see an Alabama game, you're betting over, but you're losing money because the numbers are so big.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes those coaches do get the axe regardless of what the owner said just a few short weeks ago. And sometimes, Joe, you can't have it both ways. Like a Jets fan, you probably want them to tank. They're doing a really good job of that by not even being competitive at this point. But at the same time, you sort of want it to be, yeah, we're not competitive winning games, but it looks like we have a future. We might have found our quarterback. We got a good foundation. Nothing is going right.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He's out again. Anthony Davis is injured once again and is going to miss time with the Dallas Mavericks for a minor groin strain. Likely will miss a few games. And I don't even know what a few games is to Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis seems to always be missing time.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.